Up, 2, 3, 4, marching down the street, rolling of the drums and the tramping of the feet. General salutes and the mothers waving wheat. Here comes the big parade. Don't be afraid, price is paid. One more parade. So young, so strong, so ready for the war, so willing to go and die upon a foreign shore. All march together, everybody looks the same, so there is no one you can blame. Don't be ashamed, light the flame. One more parade. Listen for the sound and listen for the noise. Listen for the thunder of the marching boys. A few years ago their guns were only toys. Here comes the big parade. Don't be afraid, price is paid. One more parade. So young, so strong, so ready for the war, so willing to go and die upon a foreign shore. All march together, everybody looks the same, so there's no one you can blame. Don't be ashamed, light the flame. One more parade. Medals on their coats and guns in their hands, trained to kill as they're trained to stand. 10,000 ears need only one command. Here comes the big parade. Don't be afraid, price is paid. One more parade. So young, so strong, so ready for the war, so willing to go and die upon a foreign shore. All march together, everybody looks the same, so there's no one you can blame. Don't be ashamed, light the flame. One more parade. Cold hard stares on faces so proud, kisses from the girls and cheers from the crowd, and the widows from the last war crying to their shrouds. Here comes the big parade. Don't be afraid, price is paid. Don't be ashamed, war's a game, world in flames, so start the parade. Down on the eastern shore, where many a fine ship was born, the Thresher was built and the Thresher was launched, and the crew of the Thresher was sworn. She was shaped like a tear, she was built like a shark, she was made to run fast and free. And the builders shook their hands and the builders shared their wine, thought that they had mastered the sea. Yes, she'll always run silent, and she'll always run deep, though the ocean has no pity, though the waves will never weep, they'll never weep. And they marveled at her speed, and they marveled at her depth, they marveled at her deadly design. And they sailed to every land, and they sailed to every port, just to see what faults they could find. Then they put her on the land for 9 months to stand, and they worked on her from stem to stern. But they could never see it was their coffin to be, for the sea was waiting for their return. Yes, she'll always run silent, and she'll always run deep, though the ocean has no pity, though the waves will never weep, they'll never weep. On a cold Wednesday morn, they put her out to sea, when the waves, they were 9 feet high. And they dove neath the waves, and they dove to their graves, and they never said a last goodbye. And it's deeper and deeper and deeper they dove, just to see what their ship could stand. But the hull gave a moan and the hull gave a groan, and they plunged to the deepest, darkest sand. Now she lies in the depths of the darkened ocean floor, covered by the waters cold and still. Oh, can't you see the wrong? She was a death ship all along, died before she had a chance to kill. And she'll never run silent, and she'll never run deep, for the ocean had no pity, and the waves, they never weep, they never weep. Sailing over to Vietnam, Southeast Asian Birmingham. Well, training is the word we use, nice word to have in case we lose. Training 1 million Vietnamese to fight for the wrong government and the American way. Well, they put me in a barracks house just across the way from Laos. They said you're pretty safe when the troops deploy, but don't turn your back in your house, boy. When they ring the gong, watch out for the Viet Cong. Well, the sergeant said it's time to train, so I climbed aboard my helicopter plane. We flew above the battleground. The sniper tried to shoot us down. He must have forgot we're only trainees. Them commies never fight fair. Friends, the very next day we trained some more. We burned some villages down to the floor. Yes, we burned out the jungles far and wide, made sure those red apes had no place left to hide. Threw all the people in relocation camps under lock and key, made damn sure they're free. Well, I walked through the jungle around the bend. Who should I meet but the ghost of President Diem? Said you're fighting to keep Vietnam free for good old Democracy. That means rule by one family and 15,000 American troops, give or take a few thousand American troops. He said I was a fine old Christian man ruling this backward Buddhist land. Well, it ain't much, but what the heck, it sure beats hell at a Chiang Kai-shek. I'm the power elite, me and the 7th Fleet. He said, meet my sister, Madame New, the sweetheart of Dien Bien Phu. He said, meet my brothers, meet my aunts, with a government that doesn't take a chance. Families that slay together, stay together. Said if you want to stay, well, you have to pay over $1 million a day. But it's worth it all, now don't you see? If you lose the country, you still have me. Me and Sigmund Rhee, Chiang Kai-shek, Madame New. Like I said on Meet the Press, I regret that I have but one country to give for my life. Well, now old DM is gone and dead. All the new leaders are anti-red. Yes, they're pro-American freedom sensations against Red China and the United Nations. Now all the news commentators and the CIA are saying, thank God for coincidence. On the streets of New York City, when the hour was getting late, there were young men armed with knives and guns, young men armed with hate, And Lou Marsh stepped between them and died there in his tracks. For one man is no army when a city turns its back. And now the streets are empty, now the streets are dark. So keep an eye on shadows and never pass the park. For the city is a jungle when the law is out of sight, and death lurks in El Barrio with the orphans of the night. He left behind the chambers of the church he served so long, for he learned the prayers of distant men will never right the wrongs. His church became an alley, and his pulpit was the street. And he made his congregation from the boys he used to meet. And now the streets are empty, now the streets are dark. So keep an eye on shadows and never pass the park. For the city is a jungle when the law is out of sight, and death lurks in El Barrio with the orphans of the night. There were two gangs approaching in Spanish Harlem town. The smell of blood was in the air, the challenge was laid down. He felt their blinding hatred, and he tried to save their lives. And the answer that they gave him was their fists and feet and eyes. And now the streets are empty, now the streets are dark. So keep an eye on shadows and never pass the park. For the city is a jungle when the law is out of sight, and death lurks in El Barrio with the orphans of the night. Will Lou Marsh lie forgotten in his cold and silent grave? Will his memory still linger on in those he tried to save? And all of us who knew him will now and then recall and shed a tear on poverty, tombstone of us all. For now the streets are empty, now the streets are dark. So keep an eye on shadows and never pass the park. For the city is a jungle when the law is out of sight, and death lurks in El Barrio with the orphans of the night. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the rivers and the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. From Colorado, Kansas, and the Carolinas too, Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Ohio and the California shore. Tell me who could ask for more? Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. Yet she's only as rich as the poorest of the poor, only as free as a padlocked prison door. only as strong as our love for this land, only as tall as we stand. For here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom, glory shall rest on us all. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the rivers and the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. For her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom, glory shall rest on us all, on us all. When the wind from the island is rolling through the trees, when a kiss from a prison cell is carried in the breeze, that's when I wonder how sad a man can be. Oh, and will Celia come to me? I still remember the mountains of the war, Sierra Madre and the Filipino shore. When will I lie beside my Celia 'neath the trees? Oh, when will Celia come to me? So many years were stolen, so many years are gone, and the vision of my Celia made dreams to dream upon. Each hour is a day filled with memories. Oh, and will Celia come to me? I wake each morning and I watch the sun arise, wonder if my Celia sleeps, wonder if she cries. If hate must be my prison lock, love must be the key. Oh, and will Celia come to me? The guns have stopped their firing, you may wander through the hills. They kept my Celia through the war, they keep her from me still. She waits upon the island now, a prisoner of the sea. Oh, and will Celia come to me? When the wind from the island is rolling through the trees, when a kiss from a prison cell is carried in the breeze, that's when I wonder how sad a man can be. Oh, when will Celia come to me? Oh, when will Celia come to me? Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night. All the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight. Keeping time, time, time with a sort of runic rhyme. From the tintinnabulation that so musically wells. From the bells, 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 from the jingling and the tinkling of the bells. Hear the mellow wedding bells, golden bells. What a world of happiness their harmony foretells. Through the balmy air of night, how they ring out their delight. Through the dances and the yells and the rapture that impels. How it swells, how it dwells on the future, how it tells. From the swinging and the ringing of the molten golden bells. Of the bells, 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 bells. Of the rhyming and the chiming of the bells. Hear the loud alarum bells, brazen bells. What a tale of terror now their turbulency tells. Much too horrified to speak, for they can only shriek. For all the ears to know how the danger ebbs and flows. Leaping higher, higher, higher with a desperate desire. In a clamorous appealing to the mercy of the fire. With the bells, 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 bells. With a clamor and the clanging of the bells. Hear the tolling of the bells, iron bells. What a world of solemn thought their monody compels. For all the sound that floats from the rust within our throats, and the people sit and groan in their muffled monotone. And the tolling, tolling, tolling feels a glory in the rolling. From the throbbing and the sobbing of the melancholy bells. Of the bells, 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 bells. Of the moaning and the groaning of the bells. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night. All the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight. Keeping time, time, time with a sort of runic rhyme. From the tintinnabulation that so musically wells. From the bells, 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 bells. From the jingling and the tinkling of the bells. Oh, I lay down your railroads every mile of track, with the muscles on my arm and the sweat upon my back. And now the trains are rolling, they roll to every shore. You tell me that my job is through, there ain't no work no more. Though I lay down your highways all across the land, with the ringing of the steel and the power of my hand. And now the roads are there like ribbons in the sky. You tell me that my job is through, but still I wonder why. For the wages were low and the hours were long, and the labor was all I could bear. Now you've got new machines for to take my place, and you tell me it's not mine to share. Though I lay down your factories and lay down your fields, with my feet on the ground and my back to your wheels. And now the smoke is rising, the steel is all aglow. I'm walking down a jobless road, and where am I to go? For the wages were low and the hours were long, and the labor was all I could bear. Now you've got new machines for to take my place, and you tell me it's not mine to share. Though I lay down your factories and lay down your fields, with my feet on the ground and my back to your wheels. And now the smoke is rising, the steel is all aglow. I'm walking down a jobless road, and where am I to go? Tell me, where am I to go? Well, it's of a bold reporter, a story I will tell, He went down to the Cuban land, the nearest place to hell. He'd been there many times before, but now the law does say the only way to Cuba is with the CIA. William Worthy isn't worthy to enter our door. Went down to Cuba, he's not American anymore. But somehow it is strange to hear the State Department say you are living in the free world you must stay. $5,000 or a 5-year sentence may well be for a man who had the nerve to think that traveling is free. Oh, why'd he waste his time to see a dictator's reign when he could have seen democracy by traveling on to Spain? William Worthy isn't worthy to enter our door. Went down to Cuba, he's not American anymore. But somehow it is strange to hear the State Department say you are living in the free world you must stay. So come all you good travelers and fellow travelers too. Yes, and travel all around the world, see every country through. I'd surely like to come along and see what may be new, but my passport's disappearing as I sing these words to you. Well, there really is no need to travel to these evil lands. Yes, and though the list grows larger, you must try to understand. Try hard not to worry if someday you should hear that the whole world is off limits. Visit Disneyland this year. William Worthy isn't worthy to enter our door. Went down to Cuba, he's not American anymore. But somehow it is strange to hear the State Department say you are living in the free world you must stay. In many a time, in many a land, with many a gun in many a hand, they came by the night, they came by the day, came with their guns to take us away. With a knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more, one more. Back in the days of the Roman Empire, they died by the cross and they died by the fire. In the stone Colosseum, the crowd gave a roar, and it all began with that knock on the door. Just a knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more, one more. The years have all passed, we've reached modern times. The Nazis have come with their Nazi war crimes. Yes, the power was there, the power was found. 6 million people have heard that same sound. That old knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more, one more. Now there's many new words and many new names. The banners have changed, but the knock is the same. On the Soviet shores, with right on their side, I wonder who knows how many have died with their knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more, one more. Look over the oceans, look over the lands, look over the leaders with the blood on their hands, and open your eyes and see what they do. When they knock over their friend, they're knocking for you with their knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more with their knock on the door, knock on the door, here they come to take one more, one more. just a little while ago, I glued my ears to the radio. The announcer was saying we better beware, a crisis was hanging way up in the air. Crawling on the ground, swimming in the sea, dead for me. Well, I didn't know if I was for or against it. He was yelling and screaming a mile a minute. Well, he said, here comes the president, but first this word from Pepsodent. Have whiter teeth, have cleaner breath when you're facing nuclear death. And then President John began to speak, and I knew right away he wouldn't be weak. Well, he said he'd seen some missile bases and terrible smiles on Cuban faces, close pictures, carrying land reform too far, giving land to the USSR. Well, it said we mustn't be afraid, we're setting up a little blockade. Put our ships along the Cuban shores, and if the Russian bear yells and roars, we'll let him have it. From Turkey and Greece, Formosa and Spain, the peaceful West European plain. From Alaska and Greenland we'll use our means and 20,000 submarines. We're gonna teach the Russians a lesson for trying to upset the balance of power. Now most Americans stood behind the president and his military minds. But me, I stood behind a bar, dreaming of a spaceship getaway car. Head for Mars, any other planet that has bars, like Gertie's Folk City. Yes, it seemed the stand was strong and plain, but some Republicans was a-going insane, and they still are. Well, they said our plan was just too mild, spare the rod and spoil the child. Let's sink Cuba into the sea and give them back democracy under the water. Well, the deadline was set for 10 o'clock. For a Cold War it was getting hot. Well, the Russians tried, the Russians failed. Homeward bound those missiles sailed. Mr. Khrushchev said, better red than dead. He walked all over his own growing land, from the New York Island to the California sand. He saw the people that needed to be seen, planted all the grass where there needed to be green. And now he's bound for a glory all his own, and now he's bound for glory. He rode and he sang and he rode upon the rails, and he got on board when the sailors had to sail. He said all the words that needed to be said. He fed all the hungry souls that needed to be fed. And now he's bound for a glory all his own, and now he's bound for glory. He sang in our streets and he sang in our halls, and he was always there when the unions gave a call. He did all the jobs that needed to be done, and he always stood his ground when the smaller men would run. And now he's bound for a glory all his own, and now he's bound for glory. And its pastures of plenty wrote the Dust Bowl balladeer. and this land is your land, he wanted us to hear. And the rising of the Unions will be sung about again. The deportees live on through the power of his pen. And now he's bound for a glory all his own, and now he's bound for glory. Now they sing out his praises on every distant shore, but so few remember what he was fighting for. Oh, I sing the songs and forget about the aim. He wrote them for a reason, why not sing them for the same? For now he's bound for a glory all his own, and now he's bound for glory. In the state of Mississippi, many years ago, a boy of 14 years got a taste of Southern law. He saw his friend a-hangin', his color was his crime, and the blood upon his jacket put a brand upon his mind. Too many martyrs and too many dead, too many lies, too many empty words were said, too many times for too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. His name was Medgar Evers, and he walked his road alone, like Emmett Till and thousands more whose names we'll never know. They tried to burn his home and they beat him to the ground, but deep inside they both knew what it took to bring him down. Too many martyrs and too many dead, too many lies, too many empty words were said, too many times for too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. The killer waited by his home, hidden by the night, as Evers stepped out from his car into the rifle sight. He slowly squeezed the trigger, the bullet left his side. It struck the heart of every man when Evers fell and died. Too many martyrs and too many dead, too many lies, too many empty words were said, too many times for too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. And they laid him in his grave while the bugle sounded clear, laid him in his grave when the victory was near. While we waited for the future, for freedom through the land, the country gained a killer and the country lost a man. Too many martyrs and too many dead, too many lies, too many empty words were said, too many times for too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. Oh, let it never be again. What's that I hear now ringing in my ears? I've heard that sound before. What's that I hear now ringing in my ears? I hear it more and more. It's the sound of freedom calling, ringing up to the skies. It's the sound of the old ways of falling. You can hear it if you try. You can hear it if you try. Oh, what's that I see now shining in my eyes? I've seen that light before. Hey, what's that I see now shining in my eyes? I see it more and more. It's the light of freedom calling, the light of the old ways of falling. You can see it if you try. You can see it if you try. Hey, what's that I feel now beating in my heart? I felt that beat before. Hey, what's that I feel now beating in my heart? I feel it more and more. It's the rumble of freedom calling, climbing up to the sky. It's the rumble of the old ways of falling. You can feel it if you try. You can feel it if you try. The peons of Mexico long have known suffering and pain. Zapata and Villa have died there fighting in vain. Ruben Jaramillo kept up for tradition. He fought for the land once again. He lived for the land, and there on the land he was slain. 45 bullet has ended the life of a man who had lived by the gun. But all of the bullets of Mexico cannot undo all the work that he's done. The greedy caciques have stolen and plundered the land. With pistol arrows they rule with a cold iron hand. The poor campesinos could stand it no longer. Resistance was starting to grow. Jaramillo decided to fight for a New Mexico. 45 bullet has ended the life of a man who had lived by the gun. But all of the bullets of Mexico cannot undo all the work that he's done. For 20 long years he fought and he struggled and tried. Epifania, his wife, always there at his side. Often surrounded, he always was hounded. They searched for him near, far, and wide. A man of deep sorrow, but also a man of deep pride. 45 bullet has ended the life of a man who had lived by the gun. But all of the bullets of Mexico cannot undo all the work that he's done. 2,000 peasants he led to their long-promised land. And the army's revenge killed the wife and the sons and the man. The assassins rejoiced with their whiskey and women. They laughed and they danced on his grave. Now the land waits again for another to ride on the wave. 45 bullet has ended the life of a man who had lived by the gun. But all of the bullets of Mexico cannot undo all the work that he's done.